Hi everybody, I'm Marky Billson, and I'm here with Artemisia the cat, who is going to be filling in with this story on ETSU athletics and a recommendation to our fans. You can see I'm petting her right now, and much like a Bond villain, which I guess my critics have compared me to, but we'll get to the story of Artemisia and more here in just a little bit. The reason I'm making this video is recently I had an X discussion with my friend, Voice of the Bucks, Jay Sandos, and he had posted a picture of a fan roasting an alligator at his tailgate prior to last Saturday's ETSU game. And even though Jay had mentioned the fan was from Georgia, it had every appearance of ETSU's subservience to Tennessee. Now, come on, grilling an alligator is straight out of the Vols fans' tailgate. Who are you going to root for next year when the Bucks and Vols meet on the gridiron? Come on. Now, it's been about 7 years too late to be grilling an alligator prior to an ETSU game. And even though Jay's comment that grilling a cavalier is illegal, and that was rather hilarious, got me to thinking what ETSU fans should be eating at their tailgates this year. At least if you wish to devour their opponent. So here is Marky Billson's tailgating tips, if you will. First of all, we got to look ahead to 2027. Seems to me the food to eat prior to the Bucks playing the UVa-Wise Cavaliers is obvious. Right here. Yeah. I'm not going to give it a paid product endorsement, but I will be. These are the most underrated potato chips, this brand. I mean, come on. Yeah. I mean, these are a real treat. Again, we're open to sponsorship from any potato chip company. One of our favorite foods. But yeah, Wise potato chips before UVa-Wise game. Seems kind of obvious, doesn't it? Same thing for the Big E game this week against North Dakota State. The Bison. I think buffalo meat is going to be a little tough to find. And frankly, I thought that species population needed restoring. So, bison, I think it's rather obvious. What you want to be eating are buffalo wings. That is great. Yes, sir. Here I am, the noted professional, talking with my mouth full. I know buffalo wings are not from North Dakota. They originate in Buffalo, New York, hence their name, etc., etc. But, again, you tell me. You give me a better tailgate food prior to playing the Bison. Love it, love it. I'm going to finish this one up. Before we go to October 5th, it's another story. Playing the Chattanooga Mocks. Can't get over that. That's good. I have no idea what a mock is. Neither do they in Chattanooga. They used to be the moccasins. So that gave me two ideas. If you're going to be the daring type, I say go hunting for water moccasins and then enjoy the snake meat. It'll certainly put those annoying alligator eaters in their place. Or maybe you're the crazy type, so why not eat your moccasins? They're leather, they're edible, and what could be more East Tennessee than going to the game barefoot? Might be starting a trend there. Well, it's no worse than wagon wheel, all right? The next weekend, Samford bothers me. I'm going to see some of you inbreds eating your pets prior to the game with the Samford Bulldogs. Don't do that. I know the Wofford Terrier. No, that's immoral. Don't do it. Please. Don't want to be hearing that the Johnson City Animal Shelter was, purged before the game against it's Samford, excuse me. Don't want to hear that next year it's purged before Wofford either, obviously, unless you have really legitimate needs for having a dog as a pet, which we would definitely approve. And why not go to the animal shelter then? Instead, here's the deal. You're playing Samford, so why not patronize one of the Chinese restaurants in the area? I'm thinking Samford Duck Hodges. There's a Chinese restaurant by the Kroger. Enjoy some Peking duck. Remember back in 2016 when ETSU beat Duck Hodges on Jeff Jernigan's game-ending field goal? Last game at Tipton Stadium? Or about 2 years later when Tyree Robinson picked off Hodges as Devlin, as he was then called. Mike Tomlin gave him the nickname Duck when he was with the Steelers. Well, you may remember that Devlin Hodges, later to be nicknamed Duck Hodges, actually finished his college career in Johnson City, took on and actually beat ETSU in his final college game, established his final numbers as being the all-time FCS leader in passing yards. But in that game, Tyree Robinson actually picked off a Hodges pass. So I think it's time to be high class. Peking duck prior to the Samford game it is. Now, again, as I said against Samford, as I said against Wofford next year, I don't know if ETSU will... let's see here. If they'll ever play another team called the Cats, this sort of thing. Do not be clearing out the Johnson City Animal Shelter or going, sure, little girl, I'll give that kitten a good home. Hardy, har, har, prior to Western Carolina. Unless, of course, you want to have a wonderful companion for your life in a little kitty cat as a friend. I am very fond, I will tell you this, of pussycats as pets. I always have been. I think they are a beautiful animal. We have Artemisia, and our cats have always, done things like keep pests away from your home, that sort of thing. And, I could go into, loving your pets and all that, and I certainly do. But, remember what the Cat in the Hat said. What is a house without a cat? I kind of believe that as well. Besides, let me tell you the story of Artemisia. And it's a very ETSU story, which is why I'm telling it. But this cat right here, and yes, she's a little shy. As I pet her and such. And that was the last of the buffalo wing that you should be enjoying against before the North Dakota State game. But here, Artemisia, show them yourself here. Hey, baby. If you know the layout of the Johnson City campus, or just when you're approaching it, and the intersection of Greenwood Drive and State of Franklin, and there is the Kroger Shopping Center there. And if you notice, between Greenwood Drive and the parking lot of that shopping center, there is a fenced-in green area, but basically it's an indentation lowering a slope, if you will, that goes down. And once upon a time, many years ago, there was actually a group of feral cats that called that green area between Greenwood Drive and the Kroger Shopping Center, the fenced-in area, their home. And being an animal lover, my mother noticed this, and along with some other animal lovers in town, they started feeding the feral cats and basically wanted to make sure that they were doing well. And so whenever my mother would go food shopping, she actually would leave a can of cat food out, this sort of thing, or maybe some dry or whatever for the feral cats. And people then, they started talking to the animal shelter and the Humane Society and such. And it was decided, something, maybe we should give these cats homes. And so a group of people adopted and gave the cats that were living in that green space, the fenced-in green space between Greenwood Drive and the parking lot in the Kroger Shopping Center in Johnson City, a home. And one of those cats, you can imagine, is Artemisia here. And I think Artemisia is a beautiful cat. And she is my friend, of course, and very affectionate. Although I think she's a little bit, I have to be on camera now, really, and all that. But that's what her, here, Artemisia, there we go. Being one of those guys. But that's the story of Artemisia. Artemisia is 17 years old. She just had her birthday. We take very good care of her. And that's how it came about. So right there next to the ETSU campus, not that far from the football stadium, she was what was called for a period of time by the animal-loving community of Johnson City as the Kroger Cats. And then the Kroger Cats became pets, and Artemisia, my mother, an art historian at ETSU for 31 years, named her after the famous Italian artist. So now we're thinking about here catamounts, Western Carolina. What do you have for the tailgate before the catamount game? Maybe you don't need a tailgate. Catamount, by the way, is a cougar. So this is your big chance, guys, to take Stacy's mom to the game. Good luck. All right, the other thing that I would say is I never really understood ETSU's emphasis on tailgating. Why not patronize one of the many restaurants around the stadium prior to the game? Be it pizza, coffee shops, burgers, fine dining, Mexican, Thai, donuts, Chinese, chicken, even vegan. There's plenty of choices within walking distance of that football stadium. So help your local businessmen out. That's the day you park the car and you go get something to eat at the restaurant before the game. Why not? And then you go to the game. I think that's what you do before the Western Carolina game. Finally, you got Furman, November 16th. This one's tough. It's a noon start, so maybe you don't tailgate. You just go to the game, and then after the game against Furman, you eat your din-din. I'm sorry. I know how terrible that joke was. I'm sorry. I am reminded of a former girlfriend, however, and her favorite cocktail was a purple Hooter shooter. Now, there are plenty of liquor and grocery stores around the stadium, so here's how you would make purple Hooter shooters before and after the Furman Paladins coming to Johnson City to play ETSU in football on November 16th. Purple Hooter shooter, and it's known for being it's a combination sweet and tart. 3 parts vodka, 1 part lime juice, and a splash of Chambord. The splash can be, for your taste. It's basically the splash of Chambord is for every 2 ounces of the drink. Okay? And obviously you're going to do that to taste. Now, the other thing I thought that you could do before the Furman game, if you're coming from Kingsport, you're a Dobbins-Bennett fan, take your leftovers from your tailgates there that haven't spoiled, because by November 16th, high school football season, you're in the playoffs by that time. But what you want to do is you want to take your unspoiled leftovers that you've been tailgating with the Dobbins-Bennett Indians and bring them to the ETSU Furman game. Why? Both Furman and Dobbins-Bennett have the same fight song. It's correct. It's called Our Director. Bet you didn't know that. Maybe you do. I don't know. But therefore, that would be appropriate leftovers from a Dobbins-Bennett tailgate to take to a Furman tailgate. I'm Marky Billson, and you can add gourmet to those of my many talents.